The Khan family had spent 25 years in Saudi Arabia, building a life in the structured and predictable rhythms of expatriate existence. Adil Khan, an engineer, had moved to Riyadh in the late 1990s, seeking better financial prospects. His wife Samina had joined him soon after, and their 3 children, Hamza, Aisha, and Bilal, were all born and raised in Saudi Arabia. But as Adil's retirement loomed, so did the reality of their temporary status in the country. The Saudi government's policies had shifted, making it clear that non-citizens could never truly settle there. And so, with heavy hearts and uncertain futures, the Khans packed their lives into cargo boxes and boarded a flight to Lahore, Pakistan, a place that was their homeland in name but felt like a foreign land to their children. As they stepped out of the airport, the warm, humid air of Lahore engulfed them. The streets buzzed with honking rickshaws, street vendors shouting their prices, and a chaos they were unfamiliar with. The family moved into Adil's ancestral home in Gulberg, a sprawling but aging house that had remained unoccupied for years. Dust covered the furniture, and the rooms smelled of neglect. Unlike their polished air-conditioned apartment in Riyadh, this house was unpredictable. Frequent power outages, leaky faucets, and a garden overrun with weeds. Hamza, at 25, struggled with the lack of structure. In Riyadh, he had lived a life governed by rules, predictable office hours, prayer times, and a clear moral code. Pakistan, however, was different. People bent rules, bribery was a norm, and professionalism was secondary to connections. Aisha, 23, was eager to start her career but quickly realized that women faced different societal expectations here. Back in Riyadh, she had studied remotely for an international degree, but in Lahore, relatives constantly questioned why she wasn't getting married instead of looking for work. Bilal, the youngest at 18, had the hardest time adjusting to university life. The casual interactions between boys and girls, the lack of discipline, and the cultural gaps between him and his Pakistani classmates left him feeling like an outsider. Financial challenges surfaced sooner than expected. The savings they had brought from Saudi Arabia didn't stretch as far as they had hoped. The inflation, the unexpected costs of repairs on the old house, and the bribes needed to process documents all chipped away at their funds. Adil tried to establish a small business, leveraging his engineering background, but found himself drowning in bureaucratic red tape. Connections mattered more than qualifications, and no one was willing to give him a chance without a hefty under-the-table payment. Samina, who had always been the backbone of the family, tried to keep things together, but she too felt out of place. In Saudi Arabia, she had been part of a close-knit Pakistani community where life revolved around religious gatherings and family visits. Here, Lahore's social scene felt different. Women were expected to entertain guests often, attend large wedding functions, and keep up with a level of socialization she was unfamiliar with. As the months passed, each member of the family found small ways to adapt. Adil, after months of failed attempts, finally found an opportunity through an old college friend who helped him set up a consulting firm. Though modest in the beginning, it gave him a sense of purpose. Aisha landed a job at an international firm in Islamabad. Though it required her to travel, she relished the freedom and the opportunity to prove herself. Her relatives continued to pressure her about marriage, but she stood firm, determined to carve her own path. Hamza, after much frustration, decided to start his own online business. Using his Saudi experience, he built a platform that helped expatriates returning to Pakistan navigate the transition. Bilal, after initial struggles, found a group of friends who had also returned from abroad. Together they formed a support system, helping each other through the cultural adjustments. One evening, as the family sat on their rooftop, watching the sunset paint the Lahore sky in hues of orange and pink, Adil turned to his wife and said, "I think we're finally settling in." Mina smiled. "It took time, but we're learning." Pakistan had not been what they expected. It had been harder, messier, more unpredictable. But in its chaos, they had found something they hadn't anticipated: resilience, strength, and the realization that home wasn't about a place. It was about the people you built it with. As the call to prayer echoed in the distance, Adil closed his eyes and whispered, "Alhamdulillah."